If you'd like to get a little bit more done in a little less time, consider using supersets or circuits. Now, I know these are terms that get thrown around a lot online, and I am here to cut through some of the noise and give you a clearer sense of how they can actually serve you. A lot of people end up giving up on their training programs because they feel like they can't devote the time they need to training, or because they have this sort of like latent fear that the time spent training isn't going to pay off anyways, and so every minute spent feels like less and less worth it. And so kind of like day 4, this is about making time work for you, and also about giving you a way to turn your strength training into a little bit more of a cardio challenge as well. But first, I'm going to couch this inside a little bit of education. So I want you to begin wrapping your mind around and embracing what I will call primary movement patterns as a framework for program design. Now, there are a few different schools of thought about how we should conceptualize movement patterns, but the philosophy I feel most confident working with is the idea that our bodies move in 6 primary ways. We hinge, we squat, we lunge and do various single leg movements, we push, we pull, and we rotate or we twist on our axis. And we always aim to keep these patterns pretty balanced across a 2 to 3 week cycle, both in terms of the number of exercises per movement pattern and in terms of total volume, that is the number of sets and reps per exercise. However, in certain cases, we might sort of purposefully rebalance this equation. In the case of somebody with issues squatting, we might really initially prioritize hinging movements over squatting movements to really focus on strengthening the glutes and hamstrings more to take some pressure off of the quadriceps and the patellar tendon. In the case of somebody with limited mobility in the shoulder or even an impingement, we might prioritize more pulling rather than pushing to sort of rebalance posture and pull the front of the deltoid into more of an externally rotated position. I also have some clients with scoliosis, and in that case, we'll make more of a priority of really buttressing the spine and the musculature around our ribs by using more rotational movements and pulling movements, especially vertical pulls that really focus on the lats. But aside from these more customized approaches, obviously as a general rule, keeping things balanced is best. And now for some supersets. So for both upper and lower body, we can create what are called supersets, and that is doing one exercise right after the other with little to no rest, and we do that by pairing exercises from opposing movement patterns that target opposing muscle groups so that the fatigue in one muscle group won't really significantly take away from how much we can exert ourselves in the exercise we've paired it with. A classic example would be supersetting a chest press, which is working all of your push muscles, your chest, your triceps, the front of your shoulder, with some kind of a row, a seated row, say, working all the back muscles, your biceps, and the back of the shoulder. Another would be supersetting a leg press or a squat, which is going to prioritize the quadriceps and a little bit of the glute, with something like an RDL or a hamstring curl, which again is going to get a little bit more glute and then primarily hamstring. A couple other easy examples would just be alternating sets of single leg squats or single arm rows or even single arm presses, since you give each leg or arm a break while the other one's working. You could also do the same thing with a side plank on one side and then a side plank on the other. If you're training for a powerlifting competition, this is like not what you would want to do. You would want to really prioritize longer rest periods between each set so you can really go full tilt with each lift. But for those of us less concerned with pushing like the absolute limits of our genetic potential in the weight room, this will be more than enough in terms of the amount of exertion and stimulus and adaptation you could need for just about any goal. However, the one common pitfall to avoid here is what a lot of people do, which is to mistake the increased pace and higher overall heart rate of a workout like this for a substitution or replacement for lifting hard. You know, you can bounce from set to set and keep the pace high and you keep moving and it feels energetic and you got your endorphins and all that, but you don't end up actually accomplishing as much in terms of progress towards a physique goal or any kind of movement or functionality goal if you're not really challenging and encouraging the growth of muscle and strength. So I'd always err on the side of lifting harder and heavier within reason, of course, but you can certainly use circuits and supersets to keep your heart rate up and get a lot more done in a lot less time. So I'm attaching a PDF here with a couple different workout options. It gives you the option to turn the 3 moves a day idea into more like 3 supersets or 3 circuits a day, full body, an upper body, and a lower body edition, and I'll also throw in a little body weight edition. Again, however, a little friendly reminder, PSA, the thing that's really going to move the needle for you towards your goals is not how interesting or how much variety there is in your training options. It's really about staying the course, progressing your strength capacities week over week, and just staying in it. Keep showing up, keep hitting singles.